This is controversial, and I'm going to demystify something here. Biohacking is the new buzzword. Everybody wants to do it, everyone wants to talk about it. People are spending more money on their health than ever before. In my early 20s, I fucked around like everybody else did. I drank too much, I partied too much, I did too many drugs, and that had a negative effect on my aging. Now, I didn't realize this until I was in my late 20s, that prioritizing your health and working on getting yourself into a physically optimized state will catapult your business. It will catapult your finances. It will lead you to become a more confident speaker. You'll be in better rooms. You'll be able to carry yourself with a different aura. You're not constantly in a state of inflammation. So I want to talk about some of the biohacking free to do hacks that you can actually implement into your life. And there are some paid options too, sure, if you are so inclined to go down that avenue, but there's a lot of things that you can do for free. In today's world, we live in a world full of distractions, and prioritizing a good routine that you can implement daily, which can put you in a physically optimized state, is how you will run rings around everybody else. So let's get into it. So when I started working on my health, at the start, I started eating better. I started exercising better. I started reducing the things that are making me feel shit in the first place. This is probably the easiest and the cheapest way to begin your biohacking journey. Look at all of the things that you're doing that make you feel shit. Maybe it's food related. Maybe it's alcohol related. Maybe it's drug related. Maybe it's even stress related. Maybe you have somebody in your life that is making you stressed. That's fine. You can cut them out. You can stop eating that. You can stop going there. You can stop taking that, whatever the substance may be, right? When you start by removing all of the things that have you feeling shit in the first place, you inadvertently clear the runway to start feeling better organically. You haven't done anything else. All you've done is cut out the shit that's making you feel crap in the first place. This is number one, and this is the easiest thing to do. Number two is to prioritize exercise. It doesn't matter whether you're an Olympic weightlifter, whether you go for a 20,000 step walk every day, whether you play badminton 3 times a week, or whether you are a member of the local high jump club. It doesn't matter. It's about how you move daily. If you have one heavy exercise day a week and then spend the rest of the week sitting on the couch feeling sorry for yourself because you're sore, this isn't exercise. Exercise is how you can integrate movement into your day. Now, for me, that looks like strength training 3 to 5 times a week. It looks like a daily walk, about 10,000 steps each walk. They're my 2 staples of my physical practice. Sure, I have other hobbies like mountain biking and golf and things that require physical activity, but generally speaking, I stick to strength training and I stick to daily walks. Now, one of the other things you can do, and this is a little bit more customized and rabbit hole focused, is you can actually test for a lot of these things. So when I started working on my physical health, I started testing. I did 4 different types of tests, and these are the same tests that I offer to my Quantum Protocol clients when they come to me for their blood and genetic testing. We run a full blood panel, we do a food sensitivity test, and we look at all of the foods that they should and shouldn't be eating. We do a DNA methylation test, which looks at how their DNA is methylating and what DNA mutations they're either homozygous or heterozygous for. Then we look at another test, which is called the telomere test, which looks at the rate at which they deteriorate and how they're aging. Now, for me, I did this test about 3 years ago now, and my first result said that I had a value. You measure it with a value known as a Dunedin score. Your Dunedin value is either less than 1 or more than 1. If it's more than 1, then you're aging faster than your chronological age. So if you age 1 year and your Dunedin value is 1.1, you age 1.1 years for every 1 year you get older chronologically. This is not good. You do not want to be above 1. If you're above 1, you've got some work to do. Now me, when I first did this, my Dunedin value was 0.87, right? I did the test. I had a bunch of stuff come up in my DNA, I had a bunch of stuff in my blood work, and I got an individualized and customized protocol to suit me. So for me, that looks like methylated B vitamins because I'm homozygous for the MTHFR gene mutation, meaning that I have elevated levels of homocysteine in the blood. So if you guys and girls have watched Gary Brecker on YouTube, you would have seen him banging on about the MTHFR gene mutation. So I have that. So I supplement in accordance with that. And for me, that looks like a methylated B vitamin that I take every day. I have some DHA supplements. I have some magnesium because I had low levels of magnesium in my diet. I supplement liposomal vitamin D in the winter because my body doesn't produce a massive amount of vitamin D naturally. I struggle to synthesize it, so I supplement for it. Now, for you guys and girls watching this, none of these may be relevant to you, but I only know this because I've done my tests. I've figured out how I should be eating, how I should be supplementing, what I'm deficient in, and I got an individualized protocol that is relevant for me. So I just do that. I eat in accordance with my genetics. For me, that's a low-carb Mediterranean diet. My body responds quite well to fasting. My body responds quite well to a stress environment. So I have a genetic makeup that comes from a hunter-gatherer descent, which is interesting for me because it's basically how I operate. I need to exercise regularly. I can go for extended periods of time without food and I'm okay, right? So when I figured all this out, it was very easy for me to implement this. Well, I'll just eat this way. I'll just exercise this way. I now know how I should be supplementing, so I'll just supplement this way. Most of these things aren't peptides. They're not cutting edge science. It's literally just a handful of tests that give you a customized approach. And then you just follow it. So there's a couple of tests in there that you only ever need to do once. The DNA test and the food test, you don't need to keep repeating those. You can run regular blood work, sure. And you can use the telomere test to see how far you've come, sure. But there's a few things there that you only need to do once and then it's done. Now, after I followed that protocol for a year, a few things happened. I reduced my alcohol intake substantially. Alcohol is a pretty sure way to speed up the aging process. Doesn't mean that I never have a drink. No. If I go away on holiday and I want to have a cocktail, I have a cocktail. But I'm not having drinks throughout the week. I'm not drinking every weekend. As of today's date right now, I think I've had one cocktail in the last 6 or 7 months, and it was on a special occasion, and it wasn't great, to be honest, but that's another story. So reducing the amount of alcohol, reducing the amount of fatty, gluggy foods that you have in your diet. When you go out for dinners all the time, if they're cooking gluggy foods that are deep fried and cooked in the wrong things, you will increase your rate of inflammation. So it's very easy to reduce this. You just stop going to those places, right? You start to order your food. You start to figure out where you can get your food from so that it comes from a reliable source. Okay? And when you do this, you start to become addicted to making high quality food that's cooked in your own house the way that you cook it. So I did all of these things. I started exercising more. I started exercising differently. I started eating with a very disciplined approach. And I followed my individualized protocol. And what happened? My cognition went up. The quality of the conversations that I'm having went up. My business revenue went through the roof. I was able to perform at an optimized level for extended periods of time without burnout. You see people every day. They spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday recovering from the weekend. Thursday, Friday, they get a spring back in their step again. And then they blow themselves to bits on the weekend. And they rinse and repeat this until they get to about 35 years old. And then they go, oh shit, where's the last 35 years gone? Where's the last 15 years gone since I left school? This is not how you want to approach it. When you get into a physically optimized state, it's addictive. You want to stay there. You're confident. You have an aura about you. You turn yourself into a little bit of a magnet. People want to hang out with you. People want to buy your products. People want to take you to lunch. People want to talk to you and send you messages and hang out with you and be in your environment. Why? Because you have an energy shift. You're physically optimized. You're confident. You have an aura about you that's different. You've got the spark. You got the X factor, right? When you spend a bit of time here, it's addictive. You want to stay here because you've moved the needle now and you're starting to operate at 80, 85% all the time. Your ability to hold a room, to hold conversations, right? This is biohacking. This is what I believe biohacking to be. It's not about, the fancy data and the metrics, which are great, right? I've managed to improve my own metrics. Now my rate of aging has come down from 0.87 to 0.81, which is great. But ultimately, it's about living a physically optimized life. It's about living in abundance. It's about being confident. It's about knowing that your body is fueled with the right foods, that you can sustain extended periods of energy. You can have conversations. You're confident. Your memory, your cognition, everything is on the ball. For me, that's what biohacking is. Now, I can spend lots of money and track that and do all my testing and things like that. But ultimately, making sure you're sleeping well, making sure you're eating well, making sure you're reducing the amount of inflammation in your body, making sure that you are exercising as you should be regularly, making sure that you are exposing yourself to as little screen time as possible before you go to bed, sleeping in a dark, cold environment, doing things like hot and cold therapy. There's enough data now on regular saunas and how it reduces your rate of cardiovascular disease to sink a ship. Sauna regularly. If you so choose to, you can do cold therapy. I have a sauna and an ice bath actually in the back of this video there, and it's a regular part of my practice, right? It's scientifically proven to prolong your lifespan, to reduce the rate that your DNA deteriorates, to breed a level of discipline into your routine. This is biohacking. This is 101 biohacking. And a lot of these things are free and easy to do. Things like fasting. Now, fasting doesn't work for everybody, and this is a big caveat. And this is why I did my blood and genetic testing, because off the back of that, it told me that my body responds well to fasting. Now, I can use an example. My wife, we ran her through the same set of testing. She does not respond well to fasting. Her genetics are not wired to fast. It puts her into a stressful environment. It messes with her hormone production. So it's not one size fits all. But I know this because I've done the tests and I've got the data. So fasting works well for me. And probably the final thing that is free and easy to do in regards to your biohacking, your longevity and how to extend your life is psychological stress. It is your overall fulfillment. Whether you're religious or spiritual or that way inclined, your overall connection to yourself, your psychological stress, the load that you carry around on your shoulders, this is the biggest factor in what will accelerate your aging. How can you reduce your stress? Are you hanging out in the wrong circles? Are you doing a stressful job that's not fulfilling? What do you do for fun? Do you have any hobbies? Can you actually sit there and say, I like my life? If the answer to that question is no, there's a better than average chance that you'll be carrying some psychological stress. Your oxidative stress will be high. This will be very apparent in your blood work if you do any blood work with me. And I've helped multiple people now all across Australia go over their blood and genetics, and probably one of the most common things that comes up is stress. High amounts of cortisol, high amounts of oxidative stress, a lack of overall fulfillment, an unfulfilling job. Now, this is difficult because we're bridging into the spiritual sort of metaphysical world here, but it matters. It makes a difference. What you do every day, how fulfilled you are, how overall happy you are on a daily basis impacts your body's ability to slow down the aging process. If you're constantly in a state of stress, if you're constantly unhappy, this will accelerate the aging process for you. And this is free to fix. How can I reduce my stress? How can I work a more fulfilling job? How could I improve my connection to myself, my religious deity, whatever it may be? How can I have more fun? How can I have a more deep and meaningful connection with my partner, my wife, my husband, my significant other? How can I show up as a better parent for my children? These are all free questions to answer. And the answers to these questions may lead you down a garden path that just might alter the very trajectory of your life. Now, this is, as I said, this is the most common thing that's come up in the people that I've helped in Australia with the blood and genetic testing, because people are stressed, people are unfulfilled, people don't really like their life. And you can make some changes there which can completely change the trajectory of where you go in the next 5, 10, 15, or maybe even 20 plus years. So here's the deal. Aging isn't just a number. It's not about what you've done prior to this. How you behave today will influence how you feel tomorrow. How you show up in 6 months from today's date is directly impacted by what's going on right now, today. If you want to get yourself into a physically optimized state, that starts right now. It starts as you're watching this video. There are some things that you can take away from here that are free, that you can implement into your life straight away. And this will move the needle for you. This will actually make a big difference in your aging process and your body's ability to clear up damaged cells and fight off infection and overall lead a more physically optimized life. Now, if you're sitting here watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, I want to do some of those tests. I want to find out my blood work. I want to look at my DNA. I want to see how I should be exercising, supplementing, sleeping in accordance with my genetic deficiencies. If you're sitting here going, do you know what? I need to do this. Then I'll put a couple of links in the description below. I'll include some details on what that looks like and how you can come on board and start hacking into your longevity, reversing the aging process, slowing down your rate of aging, and overall leading a more physically optimized, fulfilling, happy, and healthy life. If that's you, I look forward to meeting you in my biohacking community, and I wish you guys and girls all the best on your health journey. Let's get it.